Howdy folks, welcome to my live stream about the 711L Flex Head. I'm going to catch up a little bit on chat, say hi to the folks, some of the folks who've already posted messages from earlier. Flex Half Moon, wait, what? Flex Head? I can't even order the original 711L. The original 711L has been in stock for a couple weeks now. They changed it to a version with a hole. Nowhere Man 42, he pre-ordered his during the last live stream. Yeah, that's somebody actually posted it during the last live stream, and that's when I ordered mine. And then I'll talk about the ones that 711L provided. JC, I ordered already. Flex heads come in real handy for those annoying tight spots. I have the Icon, the Fancom ones already, and the VIM one. It's as good as it seems. I'll EDC it with a bit holder, an extension, or longer handle. And that's one of the things I want to talk about with this too. Knife Train 311, good evening. A lot of you folks appreciate you showing up for repeats on streams. Nowhere Man 42, wonder if Zap will make a sheath style for this one. That's what we're going to be doing, is designing a standalone holster during this stream, hopefully. Jonathan Russell pre-ordered his on Amazon. Dog Data Y. Or Data Dog Y. I just got the original. So I actually have several of the originals, and I think I'm going to give those away as gifts and keep the Flex Head as my everyday carry. Martin Molanero, hello. And Data Dog is a fit in your holsters. Yes, let's talk about that. So, this is the Flex Head as it comes in its packaging. And let me zoom out a little bit. This is quite an impressive little piece of kit for the size. What we'll do is show it right next to the original design. So you can see it is bigger, maybe what, 50% bigger or so. It has a bigger head on it. It seems to have the same number of teeth. What I did to determine if it had the same number of teeth, and we can kind of show that here. So this one, they don't advertise how many teeth are on it. It's not printed on here. It just says 1/4 gear hex. Where this guy actually is labeled, if I get the focus, come on. Let's spin this around. Is labeled 60 teeth. If I put two of these together and then synchronize their connection here and their direction, they are turning in pretty much perfect sync. I'll put this next to the mic. So I believe that the new Flex Head has 60 teeth, and most likely they, took the exact same mechanism on their proven Ratchet Driver and just either beefed it up or made it a little bit larger. So of course, the whole point of this guy is being a Flex Head like this. It has, for everybody who hasn't, don't get to actually have one yet. Come on, camera, let me switch over to manual focus 1 sec. There we go. So there's a little tiny catch there, inside there. Focus, there we go. And I've counted 13 positions. So from 90 degrees, and then of course it locks straight to negative 90 degrees. I don't know how, to me, negative 90 degrees is not as useful. But I could imagine there's going to be maybe a time when you want to take something like a long bit like this, and then you need to get in underneath something in a car where you got to actually... So the fact that it goes both ways is probably great. Now, full disclosure, 711L told me about these, that they were releasing these before my last live stream. And they sent me 2 of these as a thank you for making my holsters compatible with their products. They're not sponsoring this video, they're not sponsoring this giveaway, as far as they sent these to me, and I'm doing a giveaway with them today. So the rules of the giveaway are in the description of this video. What we're going to do is maybe around 45 minutes into the stream, we will have it where everybody kind of pings in with their name in chat, and then we'll put those into a random list, and I will give away one Flex Head and one of the originals. Now, as written in the rules, I am asking that you pay shipping because, like I said, 711L is not supporting this, other than the fact that they sent those to me, but not in regards to the stream. They sent it to me for making this holster. And so this is more a matter of kind of a thank you for everybody who's participating in the streams here. All right, let me catch up a little bit on chat here. Jonathan Russell reported his on Amazon. Datadog, why? I just got there. Okay, I'm gonna see here. So Datadog asking if it fits in my holsters, and I posted this to Reddit, but this is kind of an amazing coincidence. It fits into my existing holsters. So this is my current Leatherman Arc holster. This is my everyday carry, which has the 711L on this side. And getting that grip to work with, you know, just right, where you can just pull this out, but still have it snap in nicely, was one of the hardest parts to get working on here. Where now, on this side, which normally holds the Leatherman Ratchet Driver or the bit extender, if I can snap that in there. And I have a little bit of a hard time getting this bit extender out. The black oxide seems to have a little bit more of an issue with getting the extender out. So I use my, if you do have an issue, you can use your pliers and pull. Come on. Some leverage on this. There we go. But the new 711L fits in to the bottom here. And then you just simply push the button, and now it's retained. So it has about 1 millimeter of movement. And I'll take a holster. Mine's got a little bit of a difference here. So here's a holster that's kind of factory fresh. It's a little bit tighter fit. So you can see right here, it's not falling out by itself, but then once you do close it, it's retained and it's not rattling or moving around. And then to just get it out, pop it down, pull like that, there you go. Oh, I just realized I'm still wearing my headphones from earlier. I don't even need those. All right. The other things I want to talk about as far as this is all metal, similar to their other product. So it's got a steel pin running through here. So that's probably, I'm sure there's people are going to be like, oh, you know, what's the strength of this? 711L says use a torque limiter to use if you want to use this on really heavy objects. Basically, this is a small wrench, so you should never be applying a huge amount of torque to it. But that pin's probably going to be your limiting factor in the strength. However, it's still incredibly strong to me. It's stronger than the Leatherman Ratchet Driver on its own. At least in my opinion, I haven't physically broken one to test that out. Let me catch up on chat here. Let's see here. Looks like a little bit more. I don't want to repeat like I keep doing here. Norman 42, I'd enter the giveaway, but I'm getting one. Good luck with the rest of you. Yeah, if you're already ordering one, I mean, you can still participate in the giveaway if you'd like. That's up to you. But it would be good for the people who didn't know about this until today to be able to get their hands on one. Knife Train 311, I haven't got the Flex Head yet, but I did snag the ratchet tool from Leatherman yesterday. Only made 1,000 this time around. Unfortunately, they're gone. Yes. And I did manage to get my Leatherman Ratchet Driver order in, thanks to somebody who posted on Reddit. I think it got posted on Reddit about 4 or 5 times just because people get excited. I got mine just in time. So this is my everyday carry Leatherman Ratchet that I've had since the day they sold them. And if this will focus, switch to manual real quick here. Oh, I'm too close. Come on. Mine has developed a crack. that you can see right. If I get something that can point at this a little easier. Tweezers. And get this in focus. There we go. So mine's developed a crack right here. And it's still functional as a ratchet driver, but this switches direction so easily that while I'm using it, it ends up switching just like that. So if you accidentally, because right when you're driving something, let me get this configured a little bit better. So this is typically what I do. Pop out the Leatherman arc, pop in the ratchet driver, pop in a bit, and then while you're screwing something, if you end up accidentally bumping this, it switches direction really easily. Especially if you're trying to do where you're trying to hold on to it and you end up touching that with your finger. When these are fresh, that action is actually really tough. In fact, I saw a little add-on that made it so it was easier to actuate because it was really tough to actuate. And so once they kind of loosen up where that split happens, it's got an issue with that because they're actually using this piece of plastic to hold on the pawls or the pawls that are grabbing the gear inside. So every time you actuate this, it's pushing against the plastic every single time. I really hope that Leatherman can beef this up, but the fact is that, you know, they released 1,000 of them after maybe being out of stock on their website for probably a year. It's kind of shows that maybe they're still having issues producing these, and I wonder if they're having lots of failures or if they're just having a really hard time producing them. I'm not sure in that regard. All right, here. Let me catch up on chat a little bit here. I won't repeat all the chat right now, just the questions here, because I want to get into designing a holster for this in CAD. Hello, really want to buy your comb for the ARC, but the shipping is 42 euros for EU. Is that normal? Since shipping the Multi-Switch to 711L is about 15 bucks. Well, so those guys that are shipping are using a fulfillment center. I know the PC Doodle for the Multi-Switch, he's using Shapeway or Shopify's fulfillment system. I looked at using that. They charge $5.40 just for a small item, but then you get a little bit cheaper shipping and you get worldwide shipping. In my case, I'm shipping these directly out of my house using USPS, and so the shipping rates are what gets calculated by USPS, and so I can't really do anything about that right now. Since I only ordered 100, I did not want to put those into fulfillment. And I know the PC Doodle already had issues with Shopify losing some of his stuff when they were distributing them to the warehouse, so I didn't want to have that same issue with at least with the first 100 combs. I am ordering some more combs, but Exometry is who I ordered those from in the first place, and they bait and switched me as far as I went to go order more, and they want 56% more for every single comb, and said that, oh, well, the first quote we gave you, it doesn't have a viable profit margin. And I was like, you didn't give me accurate pricing, so I'm looking for another supplier for those. Does the 711L fit in the regular 711L, or do you need to lose the Leatherman ratchet? Yeah, so it does not fit where the 711L currently fits. So if I take that guy out, let me use the one that's not part of the giveaway, and then try to put this guy in, yeah, it will sit there, but it's not going to be comfortable. And that's just a matter of the fact that, it's so much wider at the base. I may end up doing a custom designed holster. We'll see. If the Flex Head becomes popular enough that enough people want to have the option, during today's live stream, I'm hoping to get to start designing a standalone holster. I sell a standalone holster for the Leatherman Ratchet Driver, and I'll show that in CAD in a few minutes here. But otherwise, right now, it replaces the Leatherman Ratchet Driver on the holster. But I think it might be nice to have a holster that had the Flex Head on one side, and then on the other side, maybe what you end up with is a bit extender holder. Now it won't hold the Leatherman ratchet because it's bigger diameter, but I think I could get a bit extender and room for one of these long bits. And I may end up trying to do a full-size 1/4-inch bit instead of just the Leatherman flat bits, because this is the EOD bit, I think, or it's part of the EOD kit or something like that. I forget the exact name of it. But Leatherman only has 2 sizes of these, where obviously with the regular 1/4-inch bit you can get any size you want, and so that's an option that we'll work with on that. Knife train, any further progress on the toothpick holder? No, I just haven't got around to it. I know I'm really bad at starting new stuff and then leaving other stuff to be caught up, but I do need to get back on that. I did, from the last stream, some people might already notice, get the, where's my Ratchet Driver here? I did print the special front bit holder edition that we worked on in the last live stream. So this is the prototype printed on a Formlabs Fuse 1. And then this one's a horizontal carry, so if I use this ruler as your belt, this sits on your belt like this. And if you want to pop out your tool, you kind of push like that, and then it's released, and then you can dock it. So I did this for a customer who's ordered quite a few of my parts that is willing to have the patience to get this designed, and I've had a few other requests for it. So this is the prototype. Now one of the things here, if you notice, is this one rattles, and that's the difference I have between the Formlabs Fuse 1 and Shapeways, is that Shapeways parts come out a little bit tighter fit. So here, this is a tight fit to get the bit extender out, where if I put that into here, it's actually a loose fit. But these have the exact same geometry. So that's one reason I'll end up doing one physical version of this that I'll order for myself. I actually don't use the horizontal loop, but I might have it, and maybe it'll become part of a future giveaway or something like that for anybody who wants that. All right, let's see here. Second here. Nowhere Man posted a pic of his red holster on the Leatherman mod group on Facebook. Wanted to share your link several times. Hope your sales go up some. Thank you for that. I don't get on Facebook much, but I did join that group and kind of just lurk there. Other than kind of doing these live streams, I'm not really much of a self-promoter. Separate holster would be nice for the Flex Head. Yep, that's what we'll work on. Just came from your website. It took me here for my arch needs help. I think I mean arc, probably. Brian, that's a perfect holster for me as long as I can fit the Volti-Switch there instead of the long bit. Yeah, when we do a version that'll have it where it can hold the long bit, it'll definitely hold the Volti-Switch, because if it holds I'm going to make it hold a regular 1/4-inch bit. So let's switch over to Solid Edge and get started on a holster design. Now, because 711L got in contact with me in order to send me those parts, and as a thank you, I took the opportunity to ask them for 3D models, and what they sent me is their packaging 3D model, which is really just the outside simplified version of the part. Don't ask me for the 3D models. I do not share 3D models, my own stuff or anybody else's. Then what I did is I went in and increased the detail of the 3D model, adding in the little catches for the angles. They had the pin, little notches that hold it into your Leatherman over here, the teeth for the ratchet, and the slight curve that they have. One thing that I guess I didn't show on the real thing, and maybe I should show this actually how it's holding onto bits, is they actually got a little bit of a kind of a thumb piece here. So if you're using, and let's see if I got one here. That's my 4mm bit kit. I should have grabbed some of my regular kind of screwdriver bits. All I have are flat bits here. But if you're using a regular screwdriver bit, it will dock into the kind of flat here, you notice the hex doesn't go all the way through. If you're using a Leatherman bit, well, okay, this actually works the way a regular 1/4 inch bit does, which bottoms out like this. And so you can have your thumb and be exerting some pressure without having to like put your thumb in some weird spot. Now, if you're using a Leatherman flat bit, or not flat bit, a Leatherman double-sided flat bit is what I meant to say. What they did is they made it so that it pokes through, and it's still retained. If you look up the reviews of the original bit holder, there's lots of people who, or ratchet wrench, there's lots of people who complain that the bits fall out. Well, those people aren't understanding that there is a specific design feature in here, and I'll zoom in, and there we go. See this little metal spring? If I can get off my fingers and manual focus, please. There we go. That spring right here is designed to grab the bits. So you want to always dock your bits with the flat bits so that they mate with that spring. So if I take this and I put this deliberately not where the spring goes, zoom back out here, then yeah, it falls right out. Where even if I take this that doesn't have the little teeth and put it where the spring goes, it doesn't fall out. That's one thing that I have told 711L that they need to do, is they need to have some sort of more definable feature, like a little laser cut straight line or something like that, or make the spring silver, which they may not be able to do if depending on the way the spring is tempered. It might actually be naturally black, but it looks like it's actually painted black to me. In either case, make it so that when you dock in a bit, you know exactly which way it goes each time. It's not too hard on this guy, because they put a little bit of a flat. On the original Ratchet Driver, it's a little bit harder to see. You can kind of see where these corners are, but you can't necessarily see where that guy is when you dock it. So I have had times where I've put the bit in there and then it's too loose versus putting it in properly. And I can kind of show that a little bit here in CAD. I don't have it poking through, but here's where you can see the spring that's on there. Let me catch up on chat here. I paint a couple yellow dots on mine, make the springs finding very fast. Yeah, I've thought about putting mine in, or like laser etching a straight line across the metal, just so I got a nice hard edge that's really easy to see. 711 is probably easier and more receptive than Leatherman, and I think they are. It's more a matter of their being adaptable. Now, you know, 711L is located overseas, and if you actually go look on Amazon, there's already copies of 711L under other brands, and that's just going to be an issue with making anything overseas, although they say they're made in India, but the company itself's located in China. And that's also why I don't share 3D models, so I'm not responsible for any type of leaks like that. So one thing I wanted to do here is, this is an assembly, and we're going to go into CAD here and make it so that I can pivot this in CAD, so that when we start doing a holster design, I can animate it. So I'm going to transfer these parts to their own sub-assembly, which is just going to be the head. And we're not working on the Vitronox right now. And we'll call this Flex Head for 711L. Oops. I think there's a part with that same name. There it goes. And then they'll call this one the base. Oh, is there a Paul? Okay, yeah, Paul's part of the base. Transfer it to its own subassembly. And then we're going to make a new assembly around this one. Before I do that, actually, I want to have my axis of the whole assembly be where the pivot point is. Doesn't really matter too much, but oh, that's actually not my base axis. There's my base axis. And we're going to ground this side. Oh, it's already grounded. And we're going to take the head, and I want to relate these two parts together. So I'm going to isolate just showing these two parts. We're going to turn on the coordinate system, and I'm going to set an angle between these two planes. I want the plane of the base. There we go. And I want it to rotate along that axis. And it looks like I'm going to have to go ahead and fully associate some other things here a second. Lock that together and lock that together. And then we're going to set a range of -90 to 90 degrees. And that means that I can simply animate this now. Be nice if it stopped at nice little set angles, but that's fine. I can simply just add a constraint where those two align, and then turn that constraint off, on and off as I need when I want to make it straight again. All right, so let's bring in my, and I'll just do this in my file explorer, so I can just drag it in easier than digging it up in CAD. As your eyes get older, contrast is everything. Let's see here, so catch up a little on chat here. Oh yeah, talking about having marks. So it's like the pentacycle ratchet that has the clipped edge hex drive extension to bypass the bit stop that allow it to convert to a T-bar. Maybe. You might be able to do something that could, like that. Alright, so let's go back to, way back to the Ratchet Driver, and pull in my standalone holster, because that'll be a good start. Here we go. I'm going to just drag it all the way, the whole thing into this assembly, and then we'll modify it. That'll let me have the belt and all the other accessories. So that's coming in. It's taking just a second. All right. Axes are all screwed up, so let's see. What's our axis for this? We're going to go ahead and change the flex head to go vertical, as if we're looking at it from the side, since it's going to be kind of a vertical holster for the belt. And then the Leatherman ratchet holster has a bunch of stuff turned on, because there's also a bunch of accessories designed around it. But this is the standalone holster. Now, not many folks have actually ordered this. And let me find, where was the original flat bits here. Also, let me turn up the brightness. This might be a little bit too dark here, just because everything's, of course, made of black. Bump up the lights a little bit. And where's my Leatherman flat bit? I'm looking at my connection here. That's the regular 1/4 inch bits, Leatherman bit, and then all of them. So this guy holds 6 Leatherman flat bits and the Leatherman Ratchet Driver as a standalone belt holster. And then I offered this in different belt options, duty loop, open clip, and a couple other options. And then I also offered this little micro carry, which we might do similarly for the flex head, which is basically the belt option without the belt. So you could just hold some Leatherman bits And this is for somebody who wants to do this tool carry or put it in a tool bag or something like that. Excuse me one second here. All right. But we'll end up doing something similar. I also designed a handle that could hold up to 12 short bits or 6 long bits. And that was also for the Leatherman ratchet, along with a little bit gripper thing. So in either case, let's get to, we're probably not going to do the bit gripper, obviously. Okay, what I need to do first, sorry, one second here. I want to get my coordinates all locked down. So we're going to lock those coordinates to these coordinates. And let's move the flex head back to having the proper coordinates system also. That just makes it easier when you bring and import things that all your coordinates end up in the same place. With Solid Edge, it doesn't matter too much what your coordinate system is, as far as you can just kind of work. But in this case, I want to kind of have them be similar. All right. I want to distribute this, which means that I'm pushing all the parts up to the next higher level assembly, which means basically I'm copying all these parts into my 711L assembly, which I have a duty belt size, I have a regular belt size, and it looks like I got a few other hidden objects in here. And we're just going to worry about modifying the BDU loop holster, and we'll make other versions of it later. And I think that won't use this Leatherman flat bits, because a standalone holster I think is for people who want to use this with longer tools. And let me switch cameras back here. So one of the things that is a limiting factor of the flex head is reach, right? You got 3 inches, nope, 2 inches of reach beyond here, but you got like 1.25 inches of kind of thin reach if you needed to get into a tight space. Where as soon as you start using the flex head and you put in a small bit like this, it's going to be great if your screw is right here, but if you got to reach down into a hole or past something in a tight spot, you're going to want to use the bit extender. And so I think that if we make a standalone holster, we want to make it hold maybe the bit extender or at least a long screwdriver bit. So I think we'll make it hold regular 1/4 inch bits. Catch up on chat here a little bit. Mike, are you in the process of making your own ratchet driver? No, there are people who are asking on Reddit if I can take apart, and I did mention that I might take apart the Leatherman ratchet. Maybe we'll do that in a few minutes here, since mine's cracked. I do have a spare. I'm kind of curious what's inside there, but no, not making my own ratchet driver yet. I would love to try. I've done ratchet designs for reels, for cable reels, and miniaturizing that is really hard to do. So if I need these Leatherman bits, I'll pull those in again later, and I won't worry about the handle for now. And we'll maybe make some long bits. Let's just delete some things. We will recreate these. I just need a few of the pieces in. We don't need the micro carrier. And I already have the bit extender in this model. That's nice. But I need to simplify that model. It's got a little bit. I modeled in every bit of knurling on the in the part. Looks great in Keyshot. Slows down CAD. And we don't need the ratchet driver. So now we have our 711L. And we're going to bring all the rest of these parts down a bit, including the belt. Apparently I have the free P4 holster in this CAD file too. So we'll end up doing something like this. We'll make it as small as we can. Now I already have this grip design that works with the Leatherman Ratchet Driver, but it's not going to be needed for this guy. In fact, now that I'm looking at this, we might start from complete scratch. There's something I like to call design inertia, which is that you kind of design stuff based on previous things, and you might get a better design if you start from scratch. So we'll start from scratch in this case. What we'll do is create a whole new part. Where is it? Create a whole part in place. Coincident with the origin. When I design 3D printed parts, I like to do them in metric. Even though I'll mix inches and metric with 3D printing, it doesn't matter. So we'll call this a holster. 711L Flex Head. And we're going to start with the hex geometry we need to hold it into the bottom here. Now I could just take the geometry I already have, but because the head pivots, there's going to be some really cool stuff we can do. It looks like I didn't get the axis exactly where I wanted. Give me 1 second. I forgot to change the vertical axis of this. So that's perfectly centered. There we go. Switch back into the holster. 711L is going to make the flex head version with bit holder. Super excited. Yeah, Enclave, talk about printing a new collar to replace the one on the Leatherman Ratchet Driver. I don't know if the 3D printing can be that precise. We'll if I take it apart, we'll see. But I wanted to make this more about this holster design, getting this started. And we want to be by midpoint. That's what I want to do. Here we go. So if I make this 1/4, 1/8 inch, because this is radius in this case, not inch. By midpoint, 90 degrees, 0.125 inches. We can see that at least in the CAD model, it has like 0 tolerance. Now if you go to a 1/4 inch bit, they're usually, the bit's a 1/4 inch and then the socket's a little bit bigger. So we're going to make this 0.1 millimeter bigger all around. And then we want maybe at least a 2.5 millimeter wall. Usually I do 2, but I think we can get away with 2.5 because this part's going to be small enough. We can utilize a little more material without greatly increasing the expense. And then let's make this so that it fits very nicely. In this case, even though I have a CAD model, what I'm going to do is jump over here, measure how long I think I want to have that be, and it looks like 12 millimeters would be a really good number, where this kind of bottoms out at the bottom and it almost bottoms out at the top. So let's see, sorry, I said 12. What I really meant was let's see here, 17, maybe 16. Let's go 16. And then we'll just drag this down to be flush with the bottom there. Now it's going to only orient one way, so what I can do is first I need to break, okay, it doesn't have the hex association, that's good. So what I can do is just pull this down like this, and we'll get it to snap, and we'll subtract the 0.1 millimeter, so 1.6, and we'll pull this in by the same amount. And that gives us the start. And that's why I kind of wanted to start from scratch, is I wanted to kind of this is one of the ways I design stuff, which is to put the major features you need into place, and then work around it as far as connecting it back together. So I don't need to worry about the belt loop right now. I don't need to worry about any of that. What I'm going to design is something that this slides into, very similar to the way my current holster works. And then I want it so that, whoops, why did you lose association? Oh, because I had it associated to the base. One second here. Let me lock these two guys together. Show their axes, coordinate systems. Lock that plane to that plane. All right, we're back to regular pivoting. It's pivoting in the wrong angle, but that's okay. What we'll do is recalculate this to a different angle. Let's just give it 0 to 90 because we're actually only going to design this to work in one way. Why are you not moving at all now? Oh, because it was associated to the base, not to... Alright, one second. Got to reassociate some things here. Okay, is this free moving yet? Nope. What is... Okay, that's not... That's locked. Oh, there's a driving dimension being turned on here. So that was stopping this from moving. I'm trying to drag it where it's going to pivot. And there's something else stopping it. Oh, that's locked to 90. There we go. All right. We'll just turn this on and off as we need. So what I want to do is design something so that it locks on when you tilt the flex head down. So we're going to have a pin or something like that poking up so that you just tilt this down and then it's going to be completely locked into place. And so what we'll do is go back into here and start designing that pin in a floating manner, and then we'll reconnect them together. So one thing you don't want to have is you want to be able to have this work regardless of the position of the head, regardless of the hex. So we're just going to do a circle. And since hopefully their CAD is accurate, prototyping will tell, we'll make this have a little bit more tolerance, at least 0.2 millimeters. And I'm not going to worry about how tall it is right now, because what we're going to do is add an arc that is central to here. And what that means is that, you know, it's going to pivot on that point. And at the same time, I need to have an arc. So that arc needs to clear, let's see, you have to think about what edges need to clear the part, the pin. Because I want the pin to be as long as it can be. So this inside edge needs to clear, which basically is where the pin is. So actually I can just do that off of the pin. Sorry, I'm not explaining this perfectly, but basically right here needs to be able to pivot up and away. So I want to get this on a nice whole number. So it looks like 36 millimeters, maybe 36.1 or 36. Let's give it some tolerance. And then I have to think about how it's going to clear up here. And then we of course don't need it to be any taller than the part, and it needs to be actually shorter. So let's go ahead and make it flush with the body. And we're going to go a little bit of tolerance, 0.3 millimeters gap here, just so that when you put it all together. All right, so you know, it looks like a little complicated. What I'm doing, all I'm really doing here is building a tool. And it can be quick and messy. But what I did is cut this scallop into it and this scallop into it, such that when it pivots, it won't rub against those parts. That's the idea, at least. Let's see how that works, and we'll do it in a cutaway view. So we'll turn on a cutaway view from the wrong plane here, sorry. From our central plane, let's get on the center of the part over here. And then we can drag this up. So it looks like, I guess I don't need the bottom one. I only have to worry about that top edge. And the rest of it will be fine. And then we'll go ahead and round this off. And let's see, actually I want to round this first. And this. And we might tweak this after we start putting it together. But this is the general idea. Something that allows you to snap that there, and now it's completely retained until you decide to release it. Because I want this to not rattle on your belt. And I might even design it such that the very end, where basically it's almost closed, I might get some interference being built up, maybe closer to the bottom. That way it's loose and it gets tighter and tighter as it closes. That's the goal there. Let me catch up on chat. All right, let's see here. Bunyip Dan, can't you fix your cracked Leatherman ratchet by slipping a tight ring over the ratchet to limit the flex it has caused? That might be a possibility. In fact, let's try something. I have a whole bunch of my little, what I call ratchet grippers. And this is for anybody who wants to, and this has a tight fit, so this actually might just be all I need. The idea was to increase the amount of grip. In fact, you can actually almost hear it. That did fix the grip. I gotta sell these as, you know, when your thing gets cracked. Hear how loose that sounds? So let me hold this up with the, so you can see it in camera. And switch to the big camera. So now I'm going to put the grip on, and it's a very tight fit. You know what? I already have a solution. So these aren't a hot selling product. Now the reason why I have this many of them is I had a customer who thought he was ordering Leatherman ratchets and found the money load and ended up having to fight PayPal and stuff, and in the end I lost, but at least I got the parts back. So these guys are designed, and I'll pull this up in CAD. Let's do that. 1 second here. Leatherman ratchet. Let's pull that full file back up. I designed those to very tightly fit onto the Ratchet Driver. Now the thing that it does do is it adds thickness, so it won't work with my holster anymore. So this guy's designed with an absolute perfect fit. Internally, it actually has little teeth that grab into the kind of finger grips that they provided. So if you have that issue on your Leatherman ratchet, there's a solution for you. I'll add that to the product description, but you know, I've maybe sold this bag of them constitutes 50% of all of them I've ever sold. But I really kind of made them for myself when I'm using the Ratchet Driver with a handle or something like that. Especially if you put the handle on, and I don't have the handle here. I should have made sure I had one. It's in my garage. That's where I keep my other Leatherman ratchet. But being able to actuate that, I guess I can illustrate with a multi-tool, which is what it's designed to be used with. Is it just makes it so that it's easier to actuate. But it definitely helps with that. I might just super glue that into place, and then this will become my garage ratchet, and I'll take the one out of the garage, and that can be my on holster ratchet. And so thanks for the idea with that. Let me catch up a little bit on chat here. I'll leave this up for now. All right, let's see here. I'm almost at the bottom of my screen here, or I need to catch up with. What do you mean by bit holder Rob? I do not see anything of the sort in their lineup. I guess we're talking to somebody else here. It'd be awesome to be taught CAD by UZAP. I appreciate that. I've been training I've been the sole mechanical engineer at my company for a decade now, and we finally hired somebody underneath me, and I've been teaching him Solid Edge. And it's been quite fun because there's so many little things it does that make this kind of design super simple. You can do this kind of moving parts and stuff in other CAD software, but just not nearly as easy or as fast, I guess I should say. Ta-da, fixed. Yep, it is fixed. Okay, second here. I've been putting a whole thing upside down in the bit holder with it folded along the bottom. Not sure what you're referring to on that. Wish you'd make an entire replacement for the part instead of a slip over. We might do that. How did you lose? I'm not sure. I might be talking to somebody else here. Okay. So let's continue with the design here. So what we want to do now is basically connect these two shapes. That's really all I need to do. Let's get this guy back to flat. And we'll do that in some way that looks cool. Or the other thing I could do is bring in some bits, the accessories that we want to hold with this. So I can either make a completely standalone version of this sounds nice as far as it just be right on your belt, but it's kind of useless without bits to use it with. So I do have, and I'll do this off screens on my other screen here. I believe I have some long screwdriver bits designed that I can pull in, and I can't remember what project I had them for. Of course, I got lots of things named bits because I got bit holders and bit changers, and so 1 second here. I got the Leatherman flat bits, which would be nice and it'd be small. In fact, if I pull up leatherman.com. So they have these flat bits, and then they have the ones that I was talking about, just so I get the right name, what those were. The Mutt bit kit. So this is the longer bits, but again, it's only 4 types of bits plus 1 flat bit, and it's the smallest kind. And you're going to at least have the Phillips. That's the most common, but I think we should hold full size 1/4 inch bits. So I'm digging through my library here. You know what I need to do is just sort by actual solid edge parts real quick. And of course, Microsoft is being a butt about it and showing me stuff that I definitely don't need. Why are you showing me every folder in the world? And why are you showing me parts that end in .jpeg? 1 second here. Gotta love Microsoft's search engine. Just doesn't work anymore. Come on. There we go. Now it's showing me just the parts I want. So I got regular old 1/4 inch bits like these guys. But I think a full length bit is what we really want to hold. And I swear I had a 3D model. Here's the WIA Technician bit. which is the double-sided. Those are very handy, very popular, because you get twice as many bits out of what you're working with. And I have, there we go, here's my full size 1/4 inch type bit. And unless I make this have magnets, we're going to need to have it hold something that's got a little detent, like these, either these WIA Technician bits or a bit that takes a ball like a drill bit. So I think we're going to ignore these guys for now. Let's take this and get it in the right position. I'll just do that by physically moving it around, or virtually moving it around. And we'll go ahead and put it along the same axis and up next to the part. And then maybe the bottom edge of those bits, because I don't know how long of a bit you're going to use for purchase for yourself. So we'll make the bottom edge fit there. And we'll go ahead and mirror this to the other side. Now the question is, do we want it to hold, a second, I want to mirror along. Is that the actual proper base? I want to hide all my other axes. I want to only do it off the model base instead of off of some part base. That might have to be the same thing. Do we think 2 bits is enough? Or actually what I could do is I can model it to hold 1 bit plus the Leatherman bit extender. That might be the way to go. So let's pull that in. Extender. While that's searching, I'll catch up on chat here. The flex head in the side of my holster, but upside down. Oh, okay, flex across the bottom. Okay. Bunyip Dan, the pin only needs to be quite small as the ratchet pivot locks, just so you need a nice interference, fit at the base stop, ensure it doesn't fall out with the flex. Well, so the thing is that the flex is locking. The fact that this pin locks it is going to make it so this won't flop out unless you push that button. So I don't think there's any need to necessarily put a friction fit that holds the head in at the same time. And one second, let me move my search stuff over to a new window so that I'm not hiding you guys at the same time, or my live stream at the same time, so I can make sure that I'm on the right screen. Yeah, so the Leatherman bit extender is really quite long compared to this. So instead what we'll do is maybe make this work with a regular 1/4 inch bit extender instead of the Leatherman bit extender. I think we'll do that. So hold for a second while I go grab one of those out of my garage. I'm gonna go put up the be right back screen and be with you in just 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Switching back to camera. All right, did myself a favor, grabbed a whole bunch of bits. So we're talking about is using an extender like this, or maybe a little bit shorter one like this, something that's closer to the size. So the Bosch one is a nice one, but if it's this big, it's going to have to be quite far off to the side. But that's about how long some of these bits are. If I go to this Bosch set, and let's see, do I have some other ones in there? Nope. So I think if we can hold the bit like that, and maybe leave enough room for an extender, because it's both the Bosch extender and this DeWalt extender are both about the same length. So we'll have to leave enough room for that. We'll have to think about that. Ideally you want to make things nice and tiny, but obviously you want to make things usable for more people. In fact, let's do this. Another side project is what we'll call this. Let's model one of these, and we're going to put it in our 711L, and we'll just call this generic. Or actually, let's model this DeWalt. It's the largest size DeWalt bit extender. So I'm going to model this guy here. And what we'll do is start off with the Leatherman bit extender, since it has most of the geometry we need. And I'm going to open this in its own little file here. Okay. I'm going to catch up a little in chat while that's loading the file here. Don't block the ratchet pivot lock button. Well, it might not be so bad to block that button if you... I'll have to think about that. There's going to be no good way to have it on both sides unless I do it on one side. I'm not sure it's too big of a deal to pull out the extender that you're probably going to use, or the bit you're going to use with it. Alright, selecting all this knurling was probably a bad idea, but let's see if it's going to be nice and delete that. Yeah, I'll have to think about that a little bit after I get some of the parts positioned. That's one of the reasons to do this, is to think about things like that. Of course, you're not going to be nice and delete that. That's alright, we can go ahead and hack this. We're going to hack this apart and convert it to the DeWalt dimensions anyways. Let's get the likes up, too, guys. Hit that thumbs up button as a courtesy. Thank you, JRO. I am not one of those people who does the likes and subscribes. Like I said, I don't really like to self-promote. However, that is the best way to get to know if I'm going to be doing a live stream, because I don't do these on any particular schedule. Alright, we're just going to delete the middle of this. Oh, that's right. I made it as its own design body. I forgot about that. So I can just delete that easier. Flip the extender upside down and move it closer to the wrench. Let's see here. The only issue with putting the extender upside down, and this is the way I had it on my older holsters at one point, is that now you got to work out some sort of retention mechanism to hold this in, and it's going to be a little bit harder to, and it's not going to work with multiple types of bits unless we add magnets, because like this guy is a magnetic one, so there's no internal kind of grip. The Bosch does have an internal ring. If I zoom in here, come on. I always zoom in a little bit too much for it to actually focus. So this guy's got a spring ring inside. Most of them use magnets now. In fact, even Leatherman switched the regular bit extender. This is the original bit extender, which has a split ring inside here to hold bits. And I thought I had it right here, but I've moved so much stuff around on my desk I don't know where it went. But the newer Leatherman bit extenders all have magnets inside. So I'll have to think about that. Alright, Solid Edge is being slow here. And I forgot to save my file, of course, before it started loading other files. So give me a second while this is... I might have to end up killing this. Hopefully not, because I don't want to start over. 42 in room and only 2 thumbs. We could do better. Thanks for getting people to get on with that. Well, while Solid Edge is being itself, trying to calculate that, let's go ahead, and I said I would do this at 45 minutes in, but let's go ahead and do the giveaway. So here's how the giveaway is going to work. Like JRO just said, 42 people in the room. If you want to participate in this giveaway, please put your username into the chat, or just put in an exclamation point or giveaway or something, and then I'm going to copy and paste those into a random selection, and we will pick a winner. We're going to pick two winners. First winner is going to get the 711L Flex Head. This exact one that I'm holding here. They come in a nice sort of Altoids type tin. And then the second winner we'll pick will get the original Ratchet Driver. Now this one doesn't have the keyhole at the bottom. And with the Flex Head, I'll include one of these guys, which are kind of thread together key rings that allow you to put this basically on a key ring. So you don't have to have one of my holsters with that. And as the rules kind of state at the bottom, the only thing I'm asking you to do is you pay actual shipping. And so the winner will need to email me their username and a screenshot showing proof of their username, like your YouTube profile page or something like that. And then we'll use email to finalize as far as address and things like that. So while people are typing in their names and things, we'll give it until, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, counting down.
We'll give it until my watch buzzes. All right, let's pull this back in while people are typing in. Now, if you got questions in chat, it's a really bad time to type because I'll probably miss it. All right, we don't need the cutouts. This is kind of being a little slow. Oh, you know what? While I'm got my mind on it, let's save that file in case I crash something. There we go. And we don't need the flats here. You see I even put in the Leatherman logo into the CAD so that it renders really nice inside KeyShot. And then we'll worry about the 1/4 inch drive shape at the bottom. Right now what I want to do is I want to get a rough model of the DeWalt, just so that we have dimensions of it. So, looks like I did this guy in inches. It doesn't really matter. Solid Edge I can type in either. So diameter of this is 11.08. Rotate it a couple times. Looks like it's pretty much 11.08. Probably 11 with a little bit of chrome plating or something. 11.08 millimeters. We'll switch over to back to Solid Edge here. And I'm going to measure the overall length. I almost need to do a 3-camera view here so that I can show the measurements I'm taking, but what we'll do for now, 32 millimeters from here to where the shoulder starts, and my watch is buzzing. All right, so let's switch over and let me copy, and it'll take me just a minute to sort some of this. Oh, come on, please let me copy and paste a list. There we go. So, YouTube's being nice here and popping up a menu every time I click on a name. All right, starting at where JRO said ha. We'll count that. I'm going to drop you guys into Notepad. And a second. This is popping up a menu every time I'm trying to click on your name. Fortunately, it's dropping in a nice little demarker here that I can use. Come on. And I'm calling it, well, let's see. So one of the problems is I got to go look at my stream on my iPad so that I have the right cutoff here. All right, so we got the cutoff at Jazz Deep or Frank Felix. I know that there's some delays with the way latency works on YouTube, but we're cutting it off here at Frank Felix. All right. Let me sort this list. I am deleting duplicate entries. One entry per person, please. Somebody might end up in here twice because if I don't recognize your name, but I think I'm doing all right with this. Got Mike, Nowhere Man 42, Bunyip Dan, Aaron Parker, Knife Train 311, Drain What, Donuts 242, Eric Dano, Mike, you're in there already. Jamini. I think Eric Dano might be in there twice. No, he's not. Richard. Laud Gardner. Their Edge. Hydra Shock. Farm Tyler. Evans Cliff Camping. Knives Are Life. Natalina and Lopez. You worked in there twice, right? Nope. David Williams. I know you're in there already. Half Moon. Robert. I don't think you're in there twice. Okay. Now that's actually a question, but I'll include you there. Aaron Barker. Half Moon again. I'm me. All right, down to Enclaved, and I'll just manually type in here Frank Felix. So what we're going to do is just pop up random list chooser of some sort. There's many of these on the internet now. We'll dump these in here and pick a random item. Winner is Bunyip Dan. I will copy your name here to my winner list. I think Bunyip Dan has been on a couple of live streams, so thank you for that. And, oh, I can make this more interesting by actually showing you the selection. Sorry about that. Of course, an ad pops up. Now, for the second winner, that is of the regular Ratchet Driver. Let's see, is it Andrando Rosa? Or, I'm sorry, I probably butchered that. I'm very bad with names. And we'll jump you over second winner. All right, so Bunyip Dan and Ledron, or is it just Alejandro? Sorry, Alejandro. I am so bad for, I should have known that, living here in Texas. I will need both of you to email me. You can go to my website, zapwizard.com, and click on the Contact Me page. And there's an ability to upload a picture there, or you can just email me, zapwizard@gmail.com or zapwizard@zapwizard.com. Send me a picture of your YouTube-like profile as proof of who you are. But otherwise, there's not that many people on here, and if I get 3 people who kind of submit, or 4 people, then we'll ask some questions. But I appreciate everyone for participating in that, and we'll get back to working in CAD here. And I'll just catch up a little bit on chat. Now I'm not going all the way back. There were a few questions there. Robert, if the retention is semicircular protrusion above the ratchet instead of a pin, you can keep the single-sided bit inside the ratchet and still stow it with the bit if you need it hands-free for a second. You could do that with the pivot out. So if you need to store it, you can do this and just leave the, you can just change the pivot angle before you dock it, as far as temporarily holding it in place. So I think that's going to be the solution for temporary holding in place. Now I do understand what you mean, because one of the things is that that I do with my Leatherman holster when I'm using this is, if I got the pliers deployed, let me zoom out a little bit here. I'll sometimes try to dock it, you know, kind of like this. It worked better with the Leatherman Wave, because the Leatherman Wave kind of had a wider thing. But sometimes, even if I got like a tool out or something like that, I'll still kind of half dock it into the piece. It doesn't work as well with the arc because of this little thing now, so it's a bad demonstration. It worked a little bit better on the free P4, as far as being able to hold something while in a use position. But I think you could just tilt the flex head out for that. All right, let's get back into changing this. Bitter extender is better to have, as you can use it on the arc instead of the Bosch one if you don't need the ratchet. Oh, yeah, that is true. It's just so darn big. I mean, I can make it so it just pokes out the top, but then there's no good, it's not really being retained very well, and it has and it become a pivot point. Let me think about that for a second. If there's any good reason. I was intending on having this more for folks who are putting an extension on the pivot head instead of on the Leatherman side. So I'm not sure. It will work with the holster just because the tool's tall, or I just make the holster taller. That's an option too. Does anybody have any particular preference on that? Jonathan Russell, were you in there in that list? Let me look here. Yes, you were. You were number 2. I started at JRO, so you were in the list, Jonathan Russell. I know I didn't name everybody, because I started naming people after I was editing it, just so that you had somebody talking instead of me just working silently. All right, Robert, talking about that makes sense as far as tilting the head out. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and make it fit the bit extender. It is the most logical thing that people are going to use it with. So let's just go ahead and forget the DeWalt for now. Switch back to the bit extender. It might even work with a Leatherman ratchet, but of course that's no sense in doing that. Oops, got a 3 in there. Switch back to the Leatherman bit extender. This is still going to be quite small, so one of the issues with CAD Ride is that I end up tending to push things as tight as possible, and then sometimes that makes it less flexible in the design. We're going to put this. And that's one reason I love having you guys on chat here. I love having that feedback that I don't necessarily think of, and then you end up just virtually driving down the road, going and making what you think you need when it may not be what people actually want. There might be a possibility too that we could put something above. I think I want the bottom. I want the. All right, I'm going to need to go into the bit extender and turn off that knurling. It's just slowing everything down. 1 second. Now, that is why I did make it a separate body, so I can just turn that off. And that will kill that. Let me hide my list of names here. Brian, that's true, but you can keep the original one instead of having the ratchet one on the side and the extender on the other side. Yeah, I'm not sure anybody. The problem, I think a lot of people are going to be buying this. They're buying the 711L, and especially going to be buying this flex head simply because of what Leatherman just did, releasing 1,000 ratchet drivers. I emailed everybody I had on my email list that asked me if I knew where to buy a ratchet driver, and I think 2 of those people got one before it was sold out. So this provides a ratchet ability for Leatherman, you know, and then you can use the Leatherman bit extender instead of the ratchet driver and have that ability. So I think we want to hold at least this much stuff. And this thing is so small that this will actually only end up being 1.5 inches wide by about 3 inches tall. So it's still actually going to be quite small on your belt. I don't want to add a big circle of bit holders to this particular guy. There's other solutions for holding bits, and I might end up doing something for that. I really want it to be a standalone piece that provides the, you know, quick use where you got your flat bits on your, say, Leatherman holster, and then you could keep your one most favorite long bit and then the bit extender. So I think we'll start with this. And we're going to make this so that it holds a bit extender or DeWalt or whoever, not just the Leatherman flat one. But we'll make sure the length fits the Leatherman flat one. Okay, so let's get in and maybe go ahead and add the hex holders. And this may be a product where we're going to have to add magnets. Because I don't want to have to tweak. I can't come up with a snap fit for one type of bit that works for every type of bit. So if you want to use the WIA bits or you want to use something like that. So this might be a product where you're going to have to source your own magnets. I don't like doing that when possible, but I think we might end up having to do that here. So we'll start with the same thing. We'll put a polygon over here. That is 3.25, maybe 3.3 millimeters in size. And I think we probably will end up with magnets with a 2.5 inch wall or 2.5 millimeter wall. We'll pull this up by the same amount, 16 millimeters just for now. And we'll grab that entire thing and pattern it, mirror it to the other side. And I think we can kind of make this look cool. One of the reasons I like to do this type of design where it's in pieces and then reconnected is you end up, the form follows the function of it, and you end up kind of making things that look more cohesive in the end. And if you look at one of my holsters, this thing's got all this weird geometry. Oh, by the way, I should mention, this is why I don't like the open clip. This is a customer who had one snag on his seatbelt when he's getting out of the car. Now, it didn't break. It just stretched. In fact, it was stretched more than this. So you can see plenty strong, but it also kind of lost its ability. He paid shipping, and I ended up having to send him a different holster. In either case, all this this internal geometry, which ends up looking, you know, technical and cool and Iron Man-ish to a certain degree, is all of these have a very particular reason to be here. This is the last minute little interference fit at the bottom. These are little tiny teeth that make it so that the bottom doesn't rattle. These are the grips that hold the face in. These slots are for the screws, to clear the screws and to clear the thumb tabs. And then, of course, the channel down the middle that actually does the locking. And so there's nothing on here that doesn't need to be here. But then it ends up looking, you know, cool and technical because every part of it really does have an actual function. I think the next thing we might do is go ahead and do the belt loop, and that'll give us a little bit of a better idea. In fact, let's show the belts. And for the belt loop, I'm going to pull those in from my Leatherman Arc holster because I've kind of gotten those to a point where I consider those loops to be validated to a certain degree. Yeah, this won't be so bad on a belt. That's a duty belt, though. This is a little bit more regular size belt. And I don't want to make this any wider because when you start making it wider, it gets harder and harder to keep on your belt. All right, so let's pull that in. It's saving the file right now. Let me catch up on chat. Less bulky, the better. Yeah, I'm fighting myself on how bulky this is going to be. We might tighten things up a little bit. I can move things around as needed. Actually, I don't want to do open file. I want to do Open this guy, then pull in a part copy is what I want. From the ARC, from my master file. While that's loading. How do you put magnets in SLS prints? So they would just be press fit or super glued in. Do I have one here? I do not have one here. Or actually I do, okay. So this is my older holster, or older design for the Leatherman Ratchet Driver. And what it had was a spot that if you wanted to, you could add a magnet to. Now the issue with this design was that, was one, what I just ran into, which was that the hex had to mate perfectly, and then you could lock that in. And this did use a little bit of a spring lock, just like these guys do, where there's a little spring and a little detent. And that worked well, but also this design only worked on the Leatherman Ratchet. If you took the bit extender, and if the Leatherman Ratchet was, something people could order, and it's a little tight. This one's a little bit tight here. Let me pull this out here. I know, this is like the 20th time where they end up being too tight and I end up needing pliers to pull them out, but this is an older prototype. In either case, if you take the bit extender and put it on the same one, well, now it's loose. And so that's why I came up with the kind of combined design here that works for either one. So in either case, the customer would have had to add a magnet if the snap function didn't work out. But it ends up working out that this snap function works pretty well for most people, especially once you kind of wear it in. All right, here's the master holster, and all I really want is the BDU loop for now. I can pull in the duty and other loops off camera. Could you boil it and add it add the spring back? Whoops, this pulled in almost everything. What did this pull in? Pulled in everything we were working on last time. But this is our... I might still be able to hide some bits on the back of this. I kind of, forgot I have that feature. So you might be able to get some Leatherman flat bits hidden and maybe one long bit. All right, let's move this closer to the belt. In fact, actually, we can move this to the point where these guys meet, and then I'll move the belt. And we'll make it so that the bit extender is the longest thing you can hold. So we'll go ahead and put the top edge right there. I don't want anything poking up so that there's nothing ever poking into your side if you lean off to the side. Oops, that hit it because it was a construction body. I need to move it into a regular body, design body. And we'll leave the bit pieces at the bottom. We'll just delete whichever ones don't work. And we'll go ahead, I'm going to delete the duty belt for now, just because we're only going to make this work for a regular BDU belt. And BDU is just the size of the military issue belt that most regular jean belts end up working with. Unfortunately, the groove belts that are popular don't fit through this hole, so we might make it just a little bit bigger for those while we're at it here. I think it's pretty amazing that you can design something like this and have Shapeways produce it for people interested in buying it. I mean, yeah, 3D printing is awesome that way. Shapeways is a little expensive. I don't make that much because I know that people aren't willing to pay $60 for something like this, so there isn't a huge profit margin on them. But I do make okay as far as this being a hobby. But the reality is I can design this today. I'll prototype this on my Formlabs one. The next time I do a print at work, it's sporadic, so I don't know when I get be able to do a print at work. And then as soon as that's done, I can do one sample, have it at my house, and then it's available for anybody to order, and it's made on demand, and it's made in 9 colors, and that kind of technology is simply amazing. You just wouldn't be able to do this with any other type of product design. Aaron Baker, I learned a lot about solid edge from watching your last few streams. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's, just so it's not, I know I said I was going to leave those pieces at the bottom, but so that it's not influencing our design, we're going to go ahead and chop off the bottom edge here because it's affecting my perception of this shape, right? So if we end up something like that, that's going to work better. Might need a little bit of room, like I said, for a magnet at the bottom so this can hold any type of bit. So that gives you at least room for 4 bits on the back, your bit extender, 1 long 1/4 inch bit, and it's going to have magnets in order to hold any sort of universal bit, because I can't come up with a friction fit that I guarantee is going to work, and I don't want these to just be able to be flopping around on you, where you end up one of the issues I ran into with the 4mm drivers is like here these iFixit bits that I have. Let's grab one and pull it up in camera. So here's an iFixit bit. 3.93 millimeters, not 4, right? Even out of the same kit, let's try another one randomly. 3.97 millimeters, right? Close enough to 4. And then if you go get a WIA bit, those WIA designed their stuff backwards. Okay, so this is a 4mm bit designed to fit into a slightly bigger, like 4.2mm driver. So actually here's the driver. And trying to not twist it here and get this onto the flats. A little bit hard to do. Yep, 4.1mm driver. So WIA designed their driver to be 4.0 millimeters and their bits to be like 3.7 to 3.8. And so you end up with an issue where I can't guarantee that it's going to fit because I can't guarantee that they're going to make this hex exactly a 1/4 inch. So I think we're going to have to go with magnets. Now, I do have magnets in my CAD library from many 3D printing projects, and I'm using them on a project that I have sitting here on the desk that I'll show someday. Let's see here. And I want just a solid edge file. And we want a magnet that's easy to get a hold of and is small enough to fit inside there. So small 0.125 diameter. We could probably go a little bigger. 0.187 diameter would be, there we go, that's what we want. We want nice strong retention. So we're just going to obviously put the magnet right to the bottom of the bit, and we'll line that. And we're going to duplicate, well actually I can't use a duplicate function on this one because I don't know where their axes are. So we will just mirror him over to the other side. And that unfortunately adds a little bit of length. The other option is to put it sideways from the back, but then it's not nearly as strong. Right, these magnets are strong north to south. They would hold if I had it popped in the back, and it'd be a little slimmer, but it wouldn't be nearly as strong because now instead of a pull action, it's counteracting a slide action. So something that would fit more bits would be great. Don't want to have to install the magnets though. Yeah. Unless I can come up with some mechanism that I guarantee could work on every single type of bit, magnets are really the best solution. I mean, that's why Leatherman switched over to magnets, because even those little the little springs that are in some of these that I think are higher quality because the spring won't explode or just deteriorate like a magnet can, that spring can also deteriorate and they jam up and things like that. So unfortunately, a magnet's going to be the best solution for this. These kind of magnets are really common, really easy to get. So let me look at what is 0.1875. Let's switch back over here. 4.7 millimeter, so you'd be a little bit harder to find in metric. If I did the 0.125, you can use a 3mm magnet. I'll have to think about that. I can do a shorter magnet here in order to keep the overall size of this smaller. The other option is to try to add a detent, which I could add a detent that would say work with this particular 1/4 inch bit, but now what happens when you put this guy in, right? That detent won't grab on here, or it'll be too tight on the sides. Because if I make a ball detent that fits in this type of slot, it won't work on this type of bit. So I think it's going to have to be a magnet, unfortunately. This guy's actually got no magnet inside. I just noticed. The DeWalt one's a magnet. And so, yeah, holds on to whatever bit you throw in there as long as it's made of metal, which, of course, they are. A tapered hole. So I actually do... A tapered hole is an option. It would get tighter as you push it in, but also becomes... It can jam up. If you put it in while you're in your house, and then now you go out and it's cold, that nylon's going to shrink, and now you're not going to be able to pull this out without a pair of pliers, which is kind of the issues I've been having with pulling this guy out of my holsters, because I actually do that. So this holster, this cutout inside here, you can't see it in here, but it does have a small ramp at the bottom, which means it gets tighter and tighter the more I push it. And in the case of this one that's brand new and fresh, I can't get that back out, you know. And I don't want to have that experience. So magnets are common enough. They're easy to get. You can get them off Amazon. You get up K&L Magnetics is where I'll end up putting them on there. I wish I could say I could just ship them to you even if you ordered one, but USPS just increased their shipping costs, so it's going to have to be that way. I think we're going to pull these guys in a little bit, though. And let's go ahead and pull... So I just put them out some random like 0.7 inches is I think what I did. Now I know this is blocking that little bit, but I think you could, it looks like it's blocking it, but I think you could get your fingernail and still push that button in reality. So let's pull this in 0.125. We don't want to block it from the top, so there's still enough room that it docks from the top. Pull this in 0.125 also. And I know that there's plenty of these bits that are like 3 inches long. How long is the one from Leatherman here? 2.75 long. And we'll do the same thing with the model. We'll start. Let's get this connected back together. We're already going an hour and 40 minutes into the stream here, so. Why do you not want to move that? Sometimes the mirror operation makes it so it doesn't want to do something. Oh, and I accidentally selected some stuff in the background. All right, let's hide the pieces we don't need and activate this body so it's the one we're working on. And we do want it to do some of the mirroring action. There we go. I know, mixing inches and millimeters, but that's going to be nice and compact. And then the belt holster will keep all the same features that I have on my regular belt holsters. That'll also let me copy everything in from the arc. And we might get, with adding the magnets at the bottom, we might get one more bit on the back side. And I'll add that off camera. For now, what we'll do is go ahead and add the geometry that's going to hold the magnets. And for magnets, I make the hole actual size. That usually ends up being a press fit. You can back it up with a little bit of super glue. And I think I might go ahead and find a shorter, maybe see about getting a shorter magnet. Let's look at Amazon real quick. Just because if I look at K&L Magnetics, they're going to have every type of magnet on Earth. So this is 3/16. 3/16 inch magnet may be a little bit harder to get. 3/16 by 1/16 is possible. $25 though. 3/16 by 1/16 looks like it's common enough. See if we can find one that's like, yeah, here in this, $6, $7 range. So these actually are 3 by 5. And we could do a metric magnet too. These are 3 by 1 and 5 by 1. Those are going to be really weak. 1 mil. The thickness of the magnet does affect the strength. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the magnets I have for now. Let me catch up on chat, see if anybody's got any opinion on that. Not that big of a deal to glue a magnet in. Aaron Baker, Japanese bits also use a different length below that narrow spot. Okay, yeah. So, yep, I don't even know about Japanese 1/4-inch bits. Magnet in the end works better. The only issue is to have is it catching metal shavings. So I like the idea of flow through for easy cleaning. Yeah, one of the issues I gotta fight myself with this particular design is these pieces down here are harder to clean out. And then, yeah, they'll catch magnet filings. One of the things I can do is add some geometry, such as a half round shape here. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 millimeters. And this would allow you to get in there and clean with a brush. I don't want the whole circle. I want just a half circle here. This also makes it so that when I get it 3D printed or 3D print it myself on the Fuse 1, there's you can clear this out with an air blast. And so they made up with some geometry like that allows you to do cleaning. For now, I'll delete that, but I'll keep it in mind. This is kind of the way the last couple live streams are working, where we're kind of very roughly doing it, and then off camera I go and clean it up. So for now, we'll go ahead and keep these magnets and see what we can make this look like. Show you, here's something that your CAD can't do. Is just go ahead and draft that. Oh, come on, you're not gonna be nice about it? I did it for a second there. I might have too much of an angle. 5 degrees? 8 degrees. Just trying to get it where it had the flats in there. But it's not wanting to do it quite right. There we go, that's what I wanted. Transition from the hex to there. Oh, you're not gonna be nice about it. I'll do that off camera. Let's transition those from the circle to the hex. All right, let's just put a back wall on this. My printer's deciding to do a self-cleaning right now. That would be the noise in the background. And we're going to reconnect all this up, and we'll round the top nicely. 10 millimeters. And I don't worry about where this is yet. We're going to make this 2.5 millimeters thick. We'll add some geometry that'll stiffen this back wall up. We'll pull this in to be flush with this surface here, which is the same as we have on the Leatherman Arc. That makes the belt opening the same. All right, so this is how it's starting out. Looks like a right now it looks like a pen protector for somebody's pocket. Now, having of course a utility belt is probably the more modern equivalent. An EDC tool belt's the equivalent of a pen protector, but I know when I'm at work, I carry my Leatherman and I love it. Let me catch up here in chat. T-slot blade holder would be cool. Yeah, T-slot doesn't really work well for that. My order left this morning. It should be here Monday. Cool. Alright, I think I can pull these sides in. Actually, you know what I can do to save a little bit of width is rotate these hexes. That's going to be the way to go. Right? They're slimmer on the side. Just turn off the design stuff so it doesn't get in our way. And I can chop a little bit of the front off there. I missed the side there. This will save some of the overall width, and it actually might end up looking better because this creates a side wall. Now I'm going to turn this back on. So what is our width right now? 40.1 millimeters. That's pretty good. That's what, 1.5 inches? Yep, a little bit more than 1.5 inches. Let's go ahead and combine these two parts together so I can do a little bit of cleanup, like deleting these. Oh, why aren't you deleting those? Okay, second. Let's go with this is coplanar with that, just to make sure everything's perfect. Oh, I can't delete that because it's still free floating? No. This should be able to just go away and disappear, and it's not doing it. There it goes. Merge those together. Should be able to do that with this. There it goes. And we'll pull this down. This time turn off symmetry till it joins with that. And we'll delete these. Nope. Okay. Second. What do I want to do with that? Actually, let's extend these out such that they merge with the other side wall. Turn off relationships, and okay, the symmetry is, there's 2 levels of symmetry going on here, so I'll just do one at a time. Oh, you can do that. Come on. Pull this in a little bit at a time, and then I can delete that. And I need to select this one now. There we go. That closed that up. And if we delete this, we got that geometry. This is where I'm talking about kind of form follows function. This time it deleted all of it. And we can either delete this straight across, but I think it will look better sort of like that. It looks more geometric. And I'll clean up the way these look, or I can just pull this straight down. Whoops, it pulled the hex with it. I don't want it to do that. We'll do it as an extrude operation then. That looks pretty good. Even though I like the idea of a dedicated holster, I'd like to have just one holster with the arc, bit extender, and flexible head ratchet. Having those 2 holsters is like wearing a Batman belt. Yeah, Brian, so I did show this earlier in the stream. I do believe, and obviously it works on my holster right now. Camera focus. But obviously you don't have room for the bit extender. And I do think I might come up with a version, I'll have to do this off camera because it's actually going to take quite a bit of time, that will hold the bit extender, 1 long bit, and the flex head as an option for replacing the ratchet driver on the Leatherman ratchet. But the standalone holster for now will provide the ability to kind of carry all this. It'll also work well for somebody who wants to carry this in a toolbox. Obviously this works on more than just the Leatherman tools, even though that's obviously where most of my customer base is going to be coming from. But I want to have the ability to have this work with anybody who wants to carry like a small compact set like this. Because otherwise, carrying the flex head by itself, it doesn't work by itself, right? You have to use it with a tool of some sort. All right, while I'm at it, we're going to, I think we can get one more bit in the bottom. So we'll grab this shape, drag it down 6 millimeters. That's how far my bits are apart. Yep, we'll have exactly one more bit. Grab this geometry, copy it 6 millimeters. That's how easy it is just to simply add it back in. That's why I don't worry about cutting and deleting and chopping things up. I can re-add that geometry as long as I didn't lose my original. And we'll go ahead and chop, whoops, wrong button. Go ahead and chop this off at that very bottom edge. We'll paint this black so they kind of merge together and visually. And then this is going, the belt clip's going to add some stiffness to this, but that flat, large flat surface, especially with a flexible material like nylon, it needs some sort of geometry to stiffen it up. So what we'll do is add some stiffening ribs to this. And this is kind of turning out to be a little more geometric. I might soften up the edges later, but if we're going to keep with the kind of geometric shapes, let's add these stiffening ribs as hex shapes. And I want them to start on that face and maybe in line with that. And obviously not going to hit the head, so 2.5. And I need to put this on the regular design body, not the belt clip. And we'll mirror this sketch. And we'll extrude these up. So these are going to be features that stiffen the whole shape. We'll go ahead and bring them all the way up. Oh, and put it on the belt clip. Well, you know what, for now, let's just merge everything, and I can redo the belt clip off camera, separating it. That kind of looks cool at the same time. I'll soften up. I'm almost thinking that maybe we make this guy more geometric in general. So instead of rounds, we do chamfers here. And what also can look good is chamfers combined with rounds, where you do a chamfer and then a round at the end, and it still has a geometric silhouette, but at the same time doesn't have any edges that are going to catch, and because 3D prints can actually be sharp. And I've talked about this in other streams, like these edges that are 90 degrees to each other, the inside edge will be hard to clean. So I usually do at least a 0.3 millimeter round on surfaces like this. That makes it so that it comes out a little nicer in the 3D print. So still geometric, but still has some softened edges. And then this is obviously going to be, we want it to be nice and strong. So we're going to do something like a 0.5 millimeter at least. And that's the basics of it right now. I think that we got 6 minutes left and we'll be at 2 hours. That seems to be how long my streams end up being. Let's go ahead and make a quick 3D rendering and see how much we like this. Let me round up a few more edges before we do that. And then off camera, I will work on some other aspects of this. Maybe optimize what magnets are being used, something that's a little easier to get a hold of. Why are you not being nice? Let's see here. There's some invisible geometry there. 1 second. Let me optimize the part, see if it needs to do some cleanup. Let me catch up on chat while that's optimizing. Needs a chamfer bull nose on the. Needs a nice chamfer bull nose on the bottom. Yeah, the bottom's too hard. That's what I'm working on right now. Some of us poor folks can't quite spring for the arc, especially the previous models, and aren't getting the attention of the arc. So we appreciate the standalone holster. Yeah, so that'll also work. I guess I brought this out to show. If you look on the marketing materials on Amazon, they specifically extended the length of the shoulder here so that it works with like the skeletal. So that folks who want to use this with other Leatherman tools, they made sure it fits other Leatherman tools, not just the Arc that of course is shown as the premier high-end version. So they actually did think about that, and I think that's why it kind of has this extension, because otherwise, why would you make this any longer than it needs to be? Excuse me, sorry, didn't mean to burp. All right, let's fix this bottom edge. And why are you being a butt about that? There we go. So that can't be any more than 3. I'm definitely going to want to do some smaller magnets. And we're going to soften all of these edges. And then soften, whoops, these guys. Now we can soften the entire bottom by about 1 millimeter, maybe 2. Well, one's gonna be too big. Yeah, there's definitely some shaping I need to do overall. Soften that by 1 millimeter. Soften the back by 1 millimeter. And I can delete these in order to alter things. And then in the course, while you're docking things in here, you don't want that to have a straight hard edge. You need a little bit of a lead in. So we chamfer all of this. And that's enough for now to at least render this up and see what it looks like, what it's going to look like for us. So I'll save that. We're going to dump it into KeyShot. And I already have my 711L rendering that I made, so I'm going to pull that in because it's picture perfect and already has all the labels and stuff on it. And if I do that on the right window, I could actually pull it up. Let's see here. 711L. Import the geometry. Let's go ahead and import the environment too. And let's make this full screen so you guys can actually see. So, if you're not experienced with KeyShot, it's a physical kind of simulated rendering. Okay, one second. What I can do is delete the ones I don't need. Grab this one here. If I'm lucky, it's going to just work. Nope, of course not. So we'll delete that. Come on. Reposition this guy. Whoops, I left the base behind. And rotate it. And then bring it in. We'll get it close to the right spot. Is he rotated in a weird way? He is. 0, 0, negative 90. Actually, this could be 0, 0, 0. And now I should just have to pull it up. Whoops, rotation. Really hard to click these little arrows. I wish they rendered them a little bit bigger. All right, let's see if we get this in the right position regarding the head. I think that's a little low, can't tell for sure. Key shot is a little bit finicky. That looks good enough. And I don't have a bit extender with the knurling in this model, but for now we'll leave it alone. We will go to our material library, find some sort of leather belt. And that one's just pulling a gray leather belt for now. And then I have materials that I have made for SLS nylon. So here you'll be able to order it in black, or red, or orange, or purple and pink. But of course, 99% of people order it in black. I have a bead blast stainless steel that works really well for that. And we'll just go ahead and make the bit the bead blast stainless steel. We'll zoom in and give this a few seconds to render. So while that's rendering, let me get a drink, catch up on chat here. Let's see here. Put it on the side bit holder facing down. He's replying to somebody else here. Aaron, I've got 2 searches away, a Super Tool 300 plus a couple of originals wandering around the dresser drawers, toolboxes. The Batman belt can be a real issue. Yeah, so at work, I carry my Leatherman Arc with this max config. Now I only do this at work. I don't really carry them out grocery store and stuff. For that, I have the slim model. And then I have my Olight iMorse flashlight that I really love because of the rechargeable USB ability. Simply snaps on here, and this thing ends up looking like a Star Wars prop on your belt. I ground off the keychain end of it so it can sit flat. And then this is a holster I designed, but I haven't sold because it'd be kind of too expensive because it's 3 separate pieces. But this is my AirPods holster. And then, if I want to go completely geek it out, I also have this guy here. And I do this occasionally if we're doing a lot of paperwork at work. If you're doing inventory or things like that and you run around with a clipboard all the time. This is my telescoping space pen holster. So the Fisher telescoping space pen, which is you pop it out like this and then you actually pull this and it deploys. I have this little holster design, and it's really clever because it goes down and you're like, okay, well, it just falls out. It snaps in, but it actually clicks, and now it's completely retained by this little shoulder here. But it looks like it can fall right out, but the only way to get it out is to click it down, and then it's ready to go. So that's the ultimate tool belt version of my stuff. All right, this guy is rendered, and I kind of like the geometric design on this guy. It goes okay with my holsters. Have some of the geometric shapes. Doesn't have to match those holsters. This will be so incredibly light that it won't really be an issue carrying it around. I might go ahead and add some sort of grip so that if you use the bit extender, there's at least like a little shoulder or something. But with the magnet retaining it in, there shouldn't be any issue, and you shouldn't be catching the bit extender on anything. But I might add a little shoulder to the right side, such that if you rub up against something, it doesn't push this guy sideways on you. But otherwise, I think that's pretty good. It's been 2 hours, and so I appreciate everybody who's joined the stream. The 2 folks who won the giveaways, congratulations, and I will be looking for your emails. You might have already emailed me, and then I will get those sent out. I got my own label printer for doing the combs and stuff, so I can put all the postage on there for that. And we'll process the payment for postage using either PayPal or Venmo, your choice, and I'll get a hold of you guys on that. Thanks everybody for joining. That's going to be it for me. Thanks.